first got into gift wrapping about 20 years ago, and I basically saw a gap in the market. I used to go off skiing and they would wrap a simple little item like a bar of chocolate or a bar of soap just in brown paper and raffia. And I just thought, you know what, we're really bad in this country at gift wrapping. So it gave me the idea, and I travelled extensively and had loads of ideas in my head. It wasn't as simple as that. I realised I had to start a business from scratch. I had all these ideas, so I had to go to college to get my teaching certificate. And then it was the hard grass of being taken seriously. So it was about 5 years really before I got my first contracts, and the first one was WHSmith, and the rest is history. In my new book, it's full of lots of inspiration and ideas. I wanted a book that was lots of step-by-steps, but I didn't want it to be sort of an educational training manual. I wanted it to be sort of a lovely coffee table book that people could flick through. So it's a bit of a mixture of step-by-steps with awkward shapes, how to tie the perfect bow, but also lots of inspiration, and one of the main things is how to tie the perfect bow and also how to personalise gifts. So if you've got a garden lover or a glamorous friend, you know, how you should style your presents towards those personalities. So there's a lot of mood boards and colour matching in the book with the tips as well. I decided to write my own book because I'd done a DVD about 2 years ago, and I've done extensive TV appearances, and it actually boiled down to me doing a photo shoot about 5 years ago with Sophie Conran, and it was with all these ladies who'd all done a book, and I felt so embarrassed that I'd never done a book. Some of them had done 4 or 5 books. I had no idea who these people were, and they're actually quite famous in their own right. And it just really was a kickstart for me to realise I do need to do a book. There is a gap out there for sort of a glossy book with ideas that, you know, had a nice hardback coffee table feel about it. And I looked globally for this book and it wasn't there, and I just decided I want beautiful photography to sell the book. And that's really where it began. My most difficult gift I've ever had to wrap, that's a really tough call because I've had quite a few in my lifetime. The one that comes to hand was at the Country Living Fair up in Scotland, and I was presenting in front of 300 people. It was one of those moments where you catch something in the corner of your eye and you think this is not happening, and it was a rocking horse on a trolley coming towards me. And I just thought, keep going, don't stop. The rocking horse and its owner stopped, and suddenly it was, Jane, will you wrap the rocking horse? So in front of 300 people I was faced with a rocking horse, obviously, which moved. So I had to get the audience to get involved. It was a messy job, but we did it. A lot of fun, but I'll never forget it. What style will I be wrapping my own presents this year? That's a really good question because I've not even bought them yet. I think for me, I am so busy this year because I'm not only doing my wrapping services for clients, but I'm obviously promoting the book. It is going to be a lastminute.com wrapping service, and I think it'll be brown paper. It'll be sort of really what I can get my hands on last minute, using up remnants, because I'm one of those thrifty people who I don't want to waste anything, so any little bits left over, they do get used. It's going to be a mixture as well of what I've sort of used in the book, so there'll be sort of some personalised gifts going out to some special friends, and also some very, you know, easy gift bags and envelopes because I'm going to be so short of time. The gift wrapping trends this year, there are so many of them. The ones that really catch my eye are the textured ones. Texture is huge in interiors, and it's also following through with the sort of the craft market and the stationery side. So it's now looking at papers with that bit of texture in it, and also sort of your signature style for any finishing touches. So little things like fir cones that you pick up on a country walk can easily be wired and tied in, and also just trying to personalise you know, your present, so you could pick up an initial on a gift tag or a, you know, a little heart to someone that you love, and also sort of recycling as well. So things like your, you know, baubles from last year, they can soon be tied into gifts. And if you really are on a shoestring, you can be cutting things like holly or fresh rosemary and tying that in. It just adds that extra sense. So I think for me, it's got to be down to texture and those finishing touches. My biggest achievement this year in 2014 has undoubtedly got to be the book. I found out that I'd got a book deal whilst I was at ITV in my dressing room going out on air, and I had the call to say, you've got a book deal, and was literally bouncing in the TV studio, but I couldn't say anything. And when I realised I'd got a book deal, it wasn't just any book deal. They said it's actually going to be global and published in I don't know how many languages and sold all around the world. So I think when I see my book in Arabic and Japanese, it's really going to feel quite odd. But I'm doing a book tour next year. And I learnt all this, early on this year. So it has been a roller coaster of a year, but an incredible year as well. And obviously the TV work is happening more and more as well. Next year, I don't know where I'm going to be. I've got to go to the States to do a book tour. There are lots of things bubbling in the pipeline with TV work. I have no idea what's going to happen next year, but it's a lot of ideas are in my head for designing new products, because as well as the book, I do sort of design my own range of ribbons and accessories, and I've got a new team behind me. So I'm always looking for a little gap in the market of what needs filling. And I love educating people, so I plan to do a lot more sort of educational things on the blog and filming. So who knows where I'll be this time next year.